Excited to watch with your kids someday, but can't watch it just yet because they just aren't old enough.
Yeah, I never read nor watched any of the Harry Potters ever. And I got so late in the game that I was like, you know what? I'm just going to wait until the kids are old enough to do that. And I tried to watch the first one this past year with my oldest, who was 6 at the time, and it was too soon. So I literally left the room for 5 minutes to go to the bathroom, and that was when Voldemort came out. And then next thing I know, she's just like standing in the bathroom with me. And I'm like, what? What are you doing? She's like, there's a really scary man on the TV right now. I'm like, okay. And I came out and I'm like, good Lord, you're right. That has no face. Turned it off. So I'm excited to start that whenever that time is. But I you know what her favorite 2 movies are right now? Princess Bride.
Of course.
And the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with Gene Wilder.
And that's creepy.
Yeah, I know. But man, Gene Wilder's so good.
There's nobody better in that movie. I mean, that movie, his performance. What does he say? I always forget it. At the very end, you messed with my fizzy lifty drinks, which now need to be cleaned and sterilized. Good day, sir. You get nothing. And he says, you're a mean man, Wonka. And then Charlie comes over, and Charlie puts down the everlasting gobstopper. And what does he say? And so shines a good deed in a weary world. That's just like, and it's on his back.
Yeah.
All right, little Lisa, what's your favorite scene you filmed on Smallville? Probably when you and I were naked, tied up in some dungeon or something.
Probably, yeah. Oh, God, I remember that. That was terrible. Favorite scene, I tell you, my least favorite scenes was anything having to do with football. And I love football, but I mean, the fact that I was the junior coach, it was so
bizarre.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it was a little bizarre.
It was bizarre. Favorite scene, I
Kissing Kristen, come on.
Yeah, let's just go with kissing. I mean, that's the obvious choice.
Obvious choice. Danielle, you won't get mad. This was years ago. He was a child. Child, Danielle. She won't listen to this anyway. She doesn't listen to you, does she?
No.
Well, tell her we're talking about her. Maisha, with Supernatural being over, have any interesting projects been brought to you? Can you hint on any? Is there anything that maybe you can't really talk about, that's something that's brewing?
Yes.
Okay, good answer. Why say something if then it doesn't happen? Like, whatever happened to that 10 years from now? Like, I don't know.
That's one thing I learned early on is don't talk about auditions ever.
Oh, no. My mom still asks me if I got Private Ryan. I'm like, Mom, it's a classic now.
Have you told her yes?
Yes, Mom, I'm the sniper.
Yeah, there I am, right there.
Right there. Can't see me. I'm one of those bodies on the beach. Samantha K., what was your favorite part about starting your own family brewery? How is that doing with current world events? Good question.
Free beer and a continuous supply of beer. I can go to the brewery anytime I want and get beer.
Now, can you send that beer, or you can't send that?
No, because there's a lot of alcohol board law. We can only, if we distribute outside a certain radius, then we have to sign with a distribution company, and that's like next level stuff.
So you don't make cans; you just glasses of beer, mugs of beer.
We make cans. And we sell it to local grocery stores and liquor stores and markets and stuff. So you can buy. We have 3 flagship flavors that you can buy at 52 different locations in Central Texas.
What if you just sent me as a gift, and then I Venmo'd you? And then I could just have like a classic edition of a Jensen Ackles beer can. Yeah,
I'd have to. I mean, look, off the record, anybody could probably grab a 6-pack off the shelf and then wrap it up and FedEx it to you. That's probably doable.
Okay. All right, you guys know who you are. You live in Texas. Let's get over there.
Somebody send Mike some beer.
Yeah. Nancy D, what's the one role you would drop everything to play, or the one person you would drop everything to work with? Good question, Nancy.
I would say there's some iconic characters that have really shaped kind of who the style that I enjoy playing and the characters and stuff. You think of Indiana Jones, and you think of John McClane, and you think of
but a role like that, or working with Spielberg, Zemeckis, you drop everything to work with those guys, right?
Oh gosh, yeah, and even Chris Nolan and some of these really innovative creative directors now. yeah, that would be a game changer for sure.
Chris F., what props from the show do you keep or do you want to keep when the show ends? Come on, you gotta have something.
Yeah, I'm not keeping anything.
But what's one that you would like?
Warner Brothers, I'm not keeping anything, I promise.
The car.
But one that I might like might be some of the iconic ones like
the car.
An Angel Blade, or maybe some of the non-lethal weapons that we used. But I will say that the big one is one that I can share that I am taking home with me, and that was sanctioned by Warner Brothers. I'm getting the car.
What? Have you not told anybody about that?
I may have mentioned it, but
that's big news.
That's big news,
dude. That's incredible. Are you gonna drive it? Are you gonna keep it in your garage and just keep it there, for all time's sake?
So my plan as of now is when we wrap up the show here in a few weeks, they're gonna hand me the keys, and I'm gonna put that sucker on a car carrier, ship her home to Texas. And I got a couple of folks that I'm talking to.
Was that in your contract? Did you say I want that mic? It was. What season did you do it?
I've been talking about that for 2 years now, and they finally added that to my contract this last season.
Is there a double?
There is, and I think they offered it to Jared. I don't know if he's going to take it because it's kind of beat up, and it's.
I'll take it. I'll take the.
I know exactly. I mean, he might take it. I don't know what he's going to do with it, but the hero car,
right.
the one that we always drive.
Dude, that's so cool, man.
That one's coming home with me, and it's. I'm gonna clean her up, but not change anything. But I'm gonna need to add an air conditioning unit because we live in Texas. I'm probably gonna get some new speakers and a radio system in there that actually works.
I'm blown away. I'm blown away by this.
But everything else, I'm gonna leave the creak in the doors, the splits in the seats. It's all gonna be the same.
Can I ask for one thing? Can I ask for one thing if it's still around?
What?
I think you'll laugh at this and you'll be like, you know what? I bet they still have them. I want you to sign it with a silver Sharpie for me, and I'm going to keep them right there on my table. Your tap shoes from your tap shoes for the Singing in the Rain shit. I want the black tap shoes because you had to wear tap shoes. I want them. Is that possible?
I had tap shoes. Yeah, I can see where those are.
Yeah, that would be huge.
There's a lot of wardrobe stuff that I they'll have a huge wardrobe sale at some point. I don't know when, but there's a lot of stuff that was built for me. There was like specific. We did a Western episode where we get sent back to like the 1800s, and we have to find Samuel Colt because he's got a gun that the bullets that we've got to get. So we get sent back in time, and of course my character goes full. Dodge City, Wyatt Earp style, and they hand make me this duster and these, full on like period style.
So those will probably be for sale.
And but they, it's all molded to me, so I might have to. That one might disappear.
Might disappear. I still want those tap shoes. Last two questions quickly. Leanne P., what lessons has this quarantine taught you? And Jerry W., who inspires you and why?
What lessons has the quarantine taught me? That patience is a tremendous virtue, and that that depression is avoidable if you work at it.
Are you saying, okay, that's good. Now let me ask you about that. So have you found yourself a little depressed, a little anxious, and what have you done to sort of alleviate that?
Sure. So, I mean, there were days when you just kind of like, and this is when I was back home, not here. This is kind of a different situation because I'm in a 14-day quarantine with a huge light at the end of the tunnel that I know in now 10 days from now, I'm back on work. So that's a motivating factor not to get, bored or disheartened. But, 2 months ago, sitting at home, with the kids and hearing all the bad news on the news and the record-setting, spreading viruses, and it's like a freaking zombie apocalypse on the horizon. There were days when it's just like I wander around. I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? Like I have no purpose. And then that's when you take inventory. You're like, no. There's 3 little kids over there that give you a lot of purpose, pal. So buck up and find something to do. Go teach that kid, some math, or go teach that kid, or go throw that kid onto the bed and play with them and just make memories. Go make dinner for the kids, set them up in the movie room, and then have a nice date with your wife in the kitchen.
It's amazing though when you get caught up, and it's just not. It's not that you're not grateful. It's not that you're not. It's that you get overwhelmed and you don't know why, and you sort of have this anxious feeling, and you feel like this sense of dread, and you forget all the things around you that you could still do or still. And if you just get caught too much, I've done it, man. You sit back there, and I'm alone here, but I go, you know what? My grandmother needs me. I'm going to call my grandmother, and I'm going to talk to her for an hour on FaceTime. And I'm going to. You start to do things, and the busier you get, you keep yourself busy. It helps. But look, we're all human. It's like on this show, I talk about anxiety. I'm like, Stephen Amell came on here. He had an anxiety attack, and then he came back and talked about it. It's like that's what we need more in the world, to let everybody know that fuck, man. Just because, your favorite character on Supernatural, Dean here, is a successful Hollywood star and has money and a great family and all these things, and doesn't mean he doesn't get anxious and lonely and depressed and like what's going on and talk, So I think it's important. It's cool.
There's a very powerful scene in a very powerful movie that I thought about a lot over quarantine. Remember the movie The Hurt Locker? Jeremy Renner?
Yeah.
So, you have this soldier who comes back from, in between deployments, and there's this scene where he's walking down the grocery aisle, and it's the cereal aisle. And he just turns and looks at this just wall of cereal, and he just stares at it, because he's just come from basically fearing for his life around every corner. Disarming bombs, being shot at, eating and drinking, slop, and just in the shit over in Iraq. And then he comes home stateside, and it's just like, you've got 47 different types of cereal at your disposal, anything you want, and it's just this wall of what's the word I'm looking for?
Options or
of
possibility.
Opulence, it's like all this, and that was powerful for me, because it was like, it's almost like he didn't feel, and this is the movie resonates, I think, because he feels like he's got purpose over there, but when he comes home, it's like, and I think a lot of probably veterans feel that. And I think a lot of people are starting to feel that in quarantine. It's like when you're working, when you have worth, when you have purpose, when you have motivation to get up and you do something. I haven't set my alarm clock in 4 months. My alarm clock used to be set every day to get up, because I had people waiting for me on set. I had to get up. I had to learn my lines. I had to read the next script. I had to figure out what I was doing. I had to go to stunt rehearsal. I had to go get, a prosthetic fitting. I had, you're doing things, you're moving. You're motivated, you're working, you have purpose. And when you strip all that away, and now all of a sudden it's like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? It's a hard ocean to navigate.
Yeah.
But I think that's when you lean into, you find purpose, and you look around you and you take inventory, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to call my grandmother.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to go out. I'm going to take my kids outside and shoot some basketball with them. Or I'm going to call a friend. I'm going to find some reason to get motivated to keep moving to the next hour. So, we deal a lot with, there's a lot in the fandom that are beautifully vocal about their struggles with mental instability or with depression or whatever it might be. And I've met a lot of these people that fight it on a daily basis. And I don't envy that, but I'm encouraged and inspired by how they continually do that on a daily basis. And so if I've felt like I've tasted just a fraction of that throughout the quarantine, I would say that what I've learned from that is that you've got to find a way to stay motivated and find purpose in every day and every moment. And that kind of gets you to the next moment.
Yeah, and I also just got to catch up. You're just a great guy. I've known you for a long time.
You too, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Do you want to say anything as in closing? I mean, I'm sure you said it, but just to all the fans out there, to everybody who's watched you for all these years, and anything at all. I'm sure you've already said this, but
I mean, look, the fact that this show has stayed on as long as it has is because people have not just found us, but have stuck with us, and that is all the encouragement that I need to keep working as hard as I possibly can to provide the product, the entertainment that I can for people like all of you. And it is a gift that you have given me, and it is a gift that I intend to cherish and to utilize properly. I had a really great Zoom call with Senator Cory Booker yesterday, and he's apparently such a Supernatural fan. He's watched the entire series twice, and the second time he watched it was during his presidential campaign. And but he gave me some really great piece of advice. It's like, look, when I want to turn my brain off, I get to turn you guys on and just escape into the world of Supernatural. Wow. He's like, that was a gift for me. And so the fact that that he even says that is a gift right back. So that ebb and flow is alive and well, and I thank the audience that has been giving me that for 15 years now, and I hope to translate that right into the next project, whatever that may be.
By the way, I think that's beautiful, and I think that all I can think of is like some of your fans who don't really know me and don't give a shit. They're gonna be like, he tried to get his tap shoes, he tried to get another car, he tried to get fucking his beer. I mean, what the fuck? Is he just trying to get free shit? Come on, leave me alone. I know what you're thinking. I like toys. Look at my damn plate.
Trying to get free shit.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, I love you. This has been awesome. And I wish you all the best in the world, all the best with the family and the show. And everybody's rooting for you, and continued success, man, and health.
You too, man. Stay in touch, and maybe let's talk after the show's all wrapped up, and we can talk about the experience. That'd be fun.
I love that. And I got something to send you, too.
All right, brother, man.
All right,
here's a DC fandom question for our dear friend Grant Gustin. Who would win in a fight, The Flash or Sam and Dean Winchester?
No, it wouldn't be a fair fight. Sam and Dean have fought God.
Yeah, fair enough, but Barry Allen is a metahuman.
Yeah, but a metahuman is just a monster in Supernatural. There's no freaking contest.
Okay. Well, how about we let Grant answer that one? So, Grant, who do you think would win? The Winchesters or the Flash?
Winchesters.
Thank you to our two fans for the question. I'm not sure who Sam and Dean Winchester are, but what? That's them. That they are. Let's say Sam and Dean would win. I'm sure they would beat Flash in a fight. Sam and Dean.
So last night we completed 326 episodes of Supernatural. And at the very end of every one of those scripts are 3 words: to be continued. Today we start episode number 327. And at the very bottom of the very last page of this script, there are only 2 words. Happy Friday, everybody.
Well, we're on the road. We're driving our 67 Impala with the weapons loaded in the trunk, and we're hunting. Let's go. As young boys, we lost our mother to something unexplainable, something paranormal, and our father didn't sit real well with him. So he made it kind of his life mission to track down this evil force or this unexplicable thing and deal with it. And in doing so, in making it his life mission, he trained his 2 boys to be equally as
skilled,
knowledgeable and skilled in that craft of demon hunting, ghost hunting. These 2 boys grew up weapons training and fighting and learning about folklore and mythology and urban legends and everything that goes bump in the night. And Dad set out, and Dean, my character, followed in his footsteps and made it his quest as well. And Sam decided to stray from the family biz, so to speak, and by the end of the first episode, he gets yanked back into it. And the two brothers hit the road in somewhat of a search for their father, and along the way, they run into legends and folklore, and they deal with them the way they know how.
We got work to do.
That kind of worried me at first. Not that, Charmed and Roswell and Buffy and Angel weren't all great shows in their own right, but I wasn't interested in doing a show of that genre. And though this is also technically a supernatural show, it's nothing like those. It's nothing like those four, and it's just something that's super special and super unique to the network and to both of us. And I was really excited once I read the script, and once I met the writer Kripke and some of the producers and the director, and heard their vision, I was like, wow, like this is gonna be insane.
We've got the car on set, and we're cruising down that dusty highway for sure.
Who gets the drive?
Both of us.
Both of us. It's his car, but I take the helm.
I inherited the car from
Right,
Dad,
right.
But it's very much a partnership between the two bros.
So are there car stunts? Do you guys get to do 360s?
I sure hope so.
Not quite yet, but we're only the first episode in, so I would assume that that's going to be a large portion of this show for sure.
Sorry, I can't hear you. The music's too loud.
We've been boxing and weightlifting and running and doing cardiovascular training and circuit training and stuff, and getting our bodies into shape so that we can both deal with the days and look like people who actually know what we're doing. And weapons training comes comes also with that, and we kind of do episode to episode. Say, we're using a double barrel shotgun sawed off for episode 3. We'll go to the prop masters and we'll explore that, and we'll go find a day to go to a range and kind of tinker around with it.
Get familiar with all the things that we'll be dealing with for sure.
Most of the demons or creatures or spirits are going to be tangible, and so a lot of it can be done just with an actual camera, but there are going to be visual effects, definitely, and special effects every episode. It just depends.
Not bad, huh?
Yeah, this isn't made up. This is Eric Kripke's, genius. He's been thinking about this for, nearly a decade
And researching
now,
it.
and knows it
Yeah.
like the back of his hand. There's a whole subculture about this folklore stuff. In everything that we do, laying a salt in a circle and putting cat's eye shells down and stuff. This is all very, relevant stuff to this kind of folklore. So it's kind of neat to be a part of, because in a sense we're also learning about this stuff as well.
So you could turn around and look, blink your eyes, and you're 10 years into the series.
Exactly.
Because that possibility was kind of show. Look
Sure.
at Charmed. It's been on for like.
Look at X-Files, yeah.
Yeah, X-Files.
Yeah.
I think the show has that kind of potential.
Yeah, I think it does, especially with Eric Kripke and sort of his vast array
We'd
of
like to
knowledge
think
of folklore and mythology and everything.
It was really good to see you again.
When did you get in?
I got into San Diego last night. I got in about 10:30.
Oh, yeah?
And I just came straight here basically this morning. Took a little walk, ready for some action. Y'all been here the whole time? Has
Yes.
it been nuts?
Yes.
A few people are hungover
Headbanging at the
today.
table?
Yes.
I'll slam on the table if anybody starts drifting off on me.
So they left Sam in another mess at the end
Yeah.
of this year.
Yeah, that seems to be the common denominator of all the seasons is do something with Sam. Leave that cliffhanger. It's nice. I know they're putting trust in me, because they kind of leave it on the edge and go, all right, well, we'll see what happens next year. But it's nice, and I like. I will say that I've only read the first 4 episodes of the season. I'm only shooting the second, but I'm really happy with what's going on with Sam's character. They usually give me some meaty stuff, so it's challenging, and it's definitely like picking back up at a run. It's like we're easing back into the season because we're obviously picking up after the cliffhanger. I would hope that we don't just sit there and go, 1 year later. So definitely working hard. Anybody? Bueller?
What can you tell us about last year? It was all very noir, apparently. So what can you tell us about?
Sure. Well, I can tell you what I know. Not a lot. But obviously Supernatural has the habit of kind of having, we call it our big bad. So first it was Yellow-Eyed Demon, and then it was Lilith, and then it was Crowley, then it was... so each and every year we have some ultimate bad guy that's kind of... then a big guy can be a bad girl. It's a really bad thing. But we obviously have to deal with that, and with Cass and Crowley kind of pretty wacky and undisclosed. We're gonna encounter another big bad creature, or set of creatures. I don't know exactly what they're gonna do. We obviously have a big bad. Unfortunately, I'm trying to dance my way around saying what it's called. I'm not doing a nervous sweating. But we obviously are going to have a new big bad that we're going to have to deal with. It's kind of, this season is taking us, Sam and Dean are kind of going Thelma and Louise, or I guess Butch and Sundance is probably, can we cut the Thelma and Louise part and just say Butch and Sundance? So we're kind of off on our own again. I think another thing that we find in Supernatural is whenever we start getting, we certainly answer questions, but we also bring up further questions, but we make it bigger and bigger and bigger until it can't get any bigger. And so we have a good nucleus. Like, so we take it back to the boys, like Sam and Dean on the road, on the run, on their own, against all odds. And so we're going to have to, obviously, keep a big, you can't just go back to the storyline of like, oh, there's a really mean guy at the 7-Eleven, how are we going to get him? Like, we have to have a big bad, but it's much more just Sam and Dean this year.
Last season was very much Monsters of the Week. So is that still going to continue along with the arc?
It is. I mean, we are doing similar again, Monsters of the Week. We obviously had that big, our big arc was kind of the 100-episode arc of the first 5 seasons, right? That was the demon bringing in the angels, bringing in God, bringing in more demons and Lucifer, and that kind of went, and then we told that story. And so, short of going like, well, now he's back again, and like, oh, that damn Lucifer keeps getting us. We have to go somewhere else. I mean, not get rid of Lucifer completely, but we have to continue in another direction. And so what's been our kind of bread and butter is the Monster of the Week, because that's kind of what we set out to do. That was, I mean, when Supernatural started, the first I ever heard of it was like, hey, this is kind of like X-Files meets Twilight Zone meets, Route 66. And the idea being based on these stories that you can watch one up. That it's not like, every episode is so heavy with mythology that I feel like if I watch it 4 times before I see the next episode, I don't forget something. And so we certainly will go back to Monster of the Week. But obviously keeping some through lines to send us in this season.
What was it like having Jensen direct you this time?
It's great. It's great. Having worked with him for 6 years now as an actor, he and I know how to communicate. Is it hot, or am I just like... Jeez. Nasty. I'm so sweating at you guys. Having worked with him for 6 years, I know him really well. He and I are friends now. And so when he says something to me, he knows how to communicate. And that's, as an actor, I mean, the director sets up a shot and does this and that, and I offer my input. And then it's up to the director to communicate with the actors, to say like, hey, I'm feeling this, but I need to remind you that this just happened in the episode, and this is about to happen. So let me see that drive in Sam to propel him to what he does next scene when he's out on his own. Like, we want to see what is sitting in there. And Jensen understands it as an actor. He understands me as a friend and as a fellow actor. And so it was very comforting. He gets to set up his shots, and I just get to get on camera and take some. It's kind of like acting notes. We kind of direct each other anyways while we're acting, so it's kind of nice to it felt like just acting with a buddy, like working through scenes. It didn't feel like you do this, you do this. It felt like the old school, like rehearsing through a scene, blocking it, figuring out what works and what doesn't, and then moving forward.
You guys have tackled a few different genres on the show, like you had that Western episode, and the X-Files episode, the classic Monsters episode. If you had a choice, is there a genre that you would like to tackle that you haven't yet?
Western was it. I wouldn't mind delving back into Western. We've done, I can't, if there is a genre that we haven't done, there probably is, but I can't think of it. Western was always the one that for years we kind of screamed that we wanted to do. He and I are both from Texas. Kind of grew up, my old man watched Westerns and had John Wayne in and the whole lot. Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and whatever you think of. But so that was nice to do. And now it's sort of, now I feel maybe it's because that's what we're doing anyways, maybe law of self-fulfilling prophecies, but I feel like I want to go back to Monster of the Week again. It felt like and maybe that's part of the art, is that Jared felt out of control while Sam was out of control. It's like, a Ruby? What? Like I'm drinking, like what? Okay, fine. Like I kind of felt like Sam. I don't know if that's because I was playing Sam 14 hours a day or what, but now I feel kind of like, let's get back to what got us here in the first place and dance around with that a little bit and figure out the story. Kind of go back to square one. Not start over, because obviously we're still building, but to go back to fun days.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
I'm on fire.